because I don't know what else to do. I'm hoping that he has some sort of resource that he can connect me with, and it went all the way opposite of how I was hoping it would, because it was seen as a weakness. And that was just another level of anxiety. Was now I already have anxiety. I already have that, like, not necessarily performance anxiety, because hockey used to be the thing that as soon as I stepped on the ice, as soon as I got in the crease, that was my safe space. That was my everything else in the world does not matter. And now that became one of my main sources of anxiety, because I was like, my coach is now seeing me in a different light. I had a fairly tumultuous relationship with my coach after my second year. I went from being the go-to, I played every single game. I think there were 2 games I didn't play, and it was against the last place team, to essentially my coach ended up telling me that I lost the season for us. And it was a lot to take on. I went into training camp, I left for the summer. I came back into training camp and was in the best shape of my life. Like, I'm not a runner, and I placed in like top 10 or something of running, and then top 5 of every other thing that we had to do. I was so proud of myself. And then I played 2 periods of 6 exhibition games of our preseason, which was, I had played every game the year before. So to play 2 periods was a lot to deal with.
Pause for a second. Is this because, I just want to make sure I'm following you exactly, because you went and talked to your coach and said, like, I'm not doing okay?
Yes.
He essentially just said,
Wrote you
okay,
off.
fine, you're done. Like, wrote you off completely.
It was kind of at the same time. So I was dealing with a bunch of these things. I had some life changes going on, and in going to my coach, I don't know if he started to see me as weak or what his perspective was, but I know that it definitely had a detrimental effect on me.
For sure.
And
I mean,
then
you
to have the season end and for him to blame it on me.
Yeah, and then you came back the next year stronger, faster, physically more ready, skills probably better than they were the previous season, and you're still in the same viewpoint from your coach.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go and say it had everything to do with that conversation.
Yeah, there were a lot of surrounding factors, but eventually I came to the decision that I was going to stop playing hockey, which was the hardest thing that I have done. I've always said hockey was the hardest breakup I've ever had, because it is the most supportive thing you have. It is the place where you find your family, because your family is your family, but your chosen family is your teammates. And it was just that heartbreak of, this is what I've done since I was 4 years old. What the hell am I now?
Yeah,
I don't know what to do.
That whole identity thing.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about that, because is it trippy that you identify like your life as being a hockey player, and then you're known in the hockey community as being this fucking superstar player? Is it a mind fuck that when you get out of that community, no one knows anything about you, or like, you know, when you're on the ice doing your thing, everybody knows you, but as soon as you're out of your gear and you're just walking in campus, like, no one knows who you are? Isn't that a weird fucking thing?
So that's the surreal thing, is that obviously I didn't go to school in the States, and I know this is way more prevalent in the States, but and I'm a female athlete, which again is we're not the football players in the southern states, we're not the hockey players in Michigan. However, if I was wearing my jacket around campus, I did have people come up to me and be like, hey, you played an awesome game.
Yeah.
And I would be like, oh my God, you know who I am.
You're like a semi-celebrity.
Which was crazy, because we're still not the men's hockey team. We're still not the football team. So it was still really cool to have that experience. So to go from that to when I went to Guelph the following year, and nobody really knows, because especially with lacrosse, nobody cares about the women's lacrosse team.
Yep.
It was like such a weird feeling, because I was like, I did have such an impact, and I really feel for the athletes who don't have my outgoing personality, who are those like silent leaders, who are the ones who get shit done on the ice, and who are their assistant captains, their captains, because they lead by example. I don't know how that transitions into the real world, because I happen to have the personality where I am super outgoing and will introduce myself to everyone and be like, hey, what's going on? Not everyone's like that.
Yeah.
So to have those guys and girls go into the world and try and still work hard and have it show in their work, whatever that is, I can see that being really, really challenging when you don't have that background of like, I know I'm good at this.
Yeah.
This is something that I have done my whole life. I know I'm good.
I'm going to tell you how much of a mind fuck this is. I don't play fucking sports, but I play music, and it is such a mind fuck. When it comes down to your identity, it really fucks you up. I played in a band, And we were at a point where all of the major record labels in Canada knew who we were.
Wow.
They wanted us on their record label. Like, we were wined and dined, all the rest of it. And then it gives you a certain identity, right? We got to a point where things were played on the radio, you play a show, all the rest of it, you get a lot of accolades. And then you take your fucking guitar off, and then you're not that person anymore.
Yeah.
It's a mind fuck, because that was such a high, and for that fucking little amount of time, you're walking around thinking, yeah, this is good shit, this is what I am, and you're on this such a fucking high, and then you get out, and then you realize it doesn't fucking matter a fucking bit.
Yeah.
Like, that was all for nothing almost. It's such a weird.
That's how it feels.
It's a weird go. Like, I played really big stages with really big acts, and then I take my guitar off, and then I'm roaming through the venue after. A couple people be like, yeah, great show, and then I'm walking around going, yeah, we just played this awesome show, and you're roaming through the crowd, and it's like no one fucking recognizes that was you, and it's just a real fucking mind.
It is.
It's a mind fuck.
It takes your ego down a few notches.
It does. It really does. But I don't know.
But it's the same thing with athletes. I mean,
Yeah,
it's one of those,
I can
like,
imagine.
when you're in your field, whatever that field may be, if you are on the ice, if you are on a field, if you are on a court, no matter what it is, whoever's in the stands at that moment knows who you are. They
Yeah.
know your jersey number, they can see your last name, and they're like, damn, this kid is unreal. As soon as you step out of that environment, you still want that feeling of, I know that I'm good. I
Yes.
know that other people here know I'm good.
Yeah.
And now you don't have that. So how do you navigate that? So that's part of what the adventure, I'm going to call it adventure, of not being an athlete anymore, not being a varsity athlete anymore is like, is the, how do I still establish myself? How do I still make myself known and make myself important in a world that is no longer what I'm used to?
Now you've broken up with hockey. Hardest breakup of your life. And did you come home?
I did. Yeah.
You came
I moved home. I didn't get out of bed for 3 months. It was not the most fun. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with myself. I couldn't pull myself out of it, and it was one of those, it's not like I had a purpose for working out anymore, so I just didn't work out. Because I had been working out for my entire life because of hockey or because of
Right.
lacrosse, so that I had that reason, I need to be the best in my sport, so I'm going to work out. I enjoyed doing it because I was doing it with teammates. I enjoyed doing it because I was with other athletes who also were like, yeah, let's be good. So there was no reason for me to do that. I completely went off my eating track because I wasn't fueling my body to play or practice. I was just eating.
Now you're eating your feelings.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I just stayed in bed. I was like, I don't want to get a job. I don't want to go back to school. I don't want to play hockey. I don't want to do anything. I especially didn't want to be around hockey.
Yeah, I can imagine. Did you completely distance yourself from all of your old athlete friends, or did you still keep in touch with people?
I stayed in touch with my teammates. I lived with a bunch of teammates while I was at university. So they do become your family. It's not about hockey at a certain point. It's about the relationships you make.
Mm-hmm.
So those, I stayed in contact with them. I went back to Windsor at one point to go and just see them, and then cried for the 4 hours home because they were leaving to go on the road in 2 days, and I went home. And it was just like, I can't do that anymore. That was a tough one, but...
So then eventually
Mhm.
you picked yourself up out of bed. Did you have help doing that? Like, what was the switch? How did you decide, like, I can't live like this anymore. I got to do something.
To be honest, it was there was a night that I ended up ordering food in, and I was staying in my bed, and I think I was watching Netflix or something on TV, and
So like my every night. Yeah, cool. Keep going.
and I stopped and I was like, what am I doing? I have never been this sedentary person. I have never been this girl who just stays in bed. And like, I can't remember the last time I went out with friends. I can't remember the last time. And it was one of those, yes, I am an athlete, but I am also a very social person. I'm also someone that people feel like they can talk to. And I've just cut that off.
Yeah, it's like when you lost the athletic identity, you forgot that you're still a whole other person.
Absolutely.
Aside from the athlete.
Yeah, and it's that hard thing that I was talking about earlier with when varsity athletes graduate, when you're done with your sport. It's that, okay, this has been my whole identity, and that's all encompassing. So we do forget that there is that part after hockey, and how do we navigate that? And it is possible, and we all